Welcome back, my dear students and my dear parents, to the second session of the chapter Snake Trouble. As I said in the beginning, it is an extraction of the story Snake Trouble written by Ruskin Bond. Ruskin Bond is an Indian writer. He is a poet also. So, the story is about a snake that causes trouble to a family. And the snake is not just a snake, it is their pet python. Okay, it is their pet. And the story is narrated in the character of a small boy who is traveling in a train with his grandparents. They were traveling towards Lucknow to meet their aunt. So, during their journey, they have an issue with their pet python. The story is set, as I said earlier, it is narrated in the voice of a boy. The pet python accidentally comes in their hamper. Hamper is a small basket with a lid in which we can carry things. So, the two hampers get switched. That is, the dinner with the hamper gets switched with their old hamper in which they find their pet python between their journey. Okay, so far we have finished till page number 126. Okay, so shall we just continue with the story? So, please take out your literature text, English literature text, turn to page number 126 and please follow when I am reading. Okay, I want everyone to follow with your fingers when I am reading, then only you will understand each and every word. Okay, so I will just read from that page itself, from the starting of the page, so that you will understand where we have stopped and how far we have reached in the story. Okay. Don't let grandmother see him, he said. She might think we brought him along on purpose. A little after midnight, there was a great clamour at the end of the corridor. Grandfather and I got up to see what was wrong. Suddenly, there were cries of snake, snake. I looked under the berth. The hamper was open. So, what's that? Grandfather and his grandson found the pet python in the hamper and they kept it under the berth itself, and grandfather said to his grandson that don't let grandmother know. If she comes to know about it, she will think that they brought it purposefully. Okay, and while they were sleeping at midnight, the boy heard a clamor. Clamor means sound, noise of people. Okay, so when he woke up and he checked under the berth, he could not find the pet python and he only found that the basket lid was open. Shall we continue? Yes. The python's out, I said, and grandfather dashed out of the compartment in his pajamas. I was close behind. About a dozen passengers were bunched together outside the washroom. So, when the boy said to his grandfather that the python is out, and they heard the people cry outside the compartment, what did grandfather do? He came out. Dashed means to run fast, to move out in a hurry. And he was close behind. The boy was close behind. And they found that there was a crowd in front of the washroom in the compartment. Okay. Anything wrong? Asked grandfather casually. We can't go into the washroom, said someone. There's a huge snake inside. Let me take a look, said grandfather. I know all about snakes. Grandfather and I entered the washroom together, but there was no sign of the python. So, grandfather told that he knows everything about the snake. So, let me just check. And they both went into the washroom, but they could not find the python there. He must have gone out through the ventilator, said grandfather. He told the passengers, it's gone, nothing to worry about, just a harmless young python. So he said that, don't worry, there is nothing to worry about, it's not there and it's just a small pet python, it's young python, nothing to worry about, he said. So, since it is his python, he was not afraid, he was very happy to find it. But what about others? What if we find a snake, isn't it? We will be very scared, we will be very frightened to go or see or move towards it, isn't it? If it starts ringing means we will be running, isn't it? So, similarly, the passengers were very afraid, but the boy and his grandfather was not afraid. When we got back to our compartment, grandmother was sitting up on her berth. You told me you did left that creature behind, and all the time it was with us on the train. She scolded. So grandmother is very angry and she started scolding grandfather and the boy, telling that you said that you left everything behind. There is nothing to be worried about now. All this time the python was with us. Grandfather tried to explain that we had nothing to do with it, but grandmother was unconvinced. So she was not ready to believe what grandfather was telling. Grandfather said they did not do anything purposefully, but she was not ready to believe it. Anyway, it's gone, so you will never see it again, said grandfather. It must have fallen out of the washroom window. Even as he spoke, the train slowed down and lurched to a grinding halt. So he was telling, anyway, now it's gone. He's telling to grandmother, as she was angry at him, he was also angry at her, and he's telling, now there is nothing to worry about. Anyway, it is gone. You will not see it again. Okay, and he was talking. He was telling that he must have moved out. He must have gone out of the ventilator in the washroom. As grandfather was speaking about the snake, the train started to stop. Stop means, have you seen the train stop? When you have traveling in the train will slowly stop. There is a stop and it slowly moves forward, then again a stop. Okay, that's how the train stop. It can't be stopped suddenly. Understood? And at last it stops slowly. Okay, so now please turn to page number 128. No station here, said grandfather, putting his head out of the window. I did better go and see what's wrong. And together we hurried towards the engine. So he understood that there is no stop here. I mean, there is no station here. And then why this train is stopped? So he looked out of the window and he said that it's better that I will go and check. So they both went to the engine compartment. What's up? Said grandfather to the engine driver. Anything I can do to help? I know all about engines. So again, before grandfather said that he knows all about the snakes. Now he is telling that I know all about the engines. So he is trying to help the engine driver. But the engine driver was speechless. And who could blame him? The python had curled itself around his legs and the driver was too petrified to move. So what happened? So the snake is now in the engine compartment and it has been curled around the engine driver's leg. So he was so stuck. He was very frightened. He was petrified, means he was not able to say anything, move or do anything because he is shocked. Seeing we all will be shocked, isn't it? We all will be screaming, snake, snake. Whenever we see a snake, let it be a black poochie also, we will be screaming, isn't it? Similarly, the snake was curled around the engine driver's leg and the engine driver was so frightened that he could not return. I mean, he could not reply to the grandfather's question. Just leave it to us, said grandfather, and dragging the python off the driver, he dumped the snake in my arms. The engine driver sank down to the floor, pale and trembling. So, what did grandfather do? It's okay, just leave it to us, we will take care of it. And he took the snake, he took the python from the engine driver's leg and he dumped it into the boy's hands. Okay, and the engine driver fell down. He was so pale, he was so scared and he was trembling. Trembling means shivering when you are very afraid. Okay. I think I did better drive the train, said grandfather. We don't want to be late getting into Lucknow. Your aunt will be expecting us. So what did grandfather say? Grandfather now said that it's okay, now I will drive. It's better that I drive the train because we don't want to be late to reach Lucknow as the aunt will be waiting. And before the astonished driver could protest, grandfather had released the brakes and set the engine in motion. So the driver was so shocked that he could not reply. So even before he replied, grandfather released the brake and what did he do? He set the engine in motion. Motion means moving. Okay. The process of moving something is called motion. So it is. So grandfather released the brake and the train was set to move. So that's all about the story. That was the chapter about snake trouble, what the trouble caused by a train. So as I said in the beginning, it is just an extraction of the story Snake Trouble written by Ruskin Bond. Now you may please read the chapter, the full chapter, read it twice and try to understand the story clearly so that you will be able to answer the questions. Okay. So we will see in the next class. Thank you children. Bye bye and take care of yourself. Okay. Thank you.